So good morning and welcome back to our this lecture series on non-destructive testing. So in the last lecture, we have discussed on the topics which was on visual inspection method. As I told, you can do a few things by using this visual inspection technique. So, but it has its own limitations in the sense you would be able to do only certain external inspection, the external surface of the component. And if you want to visualize something which is below the surface or which lies underneath, then you need to use one of these NDT methods. So that we have listed. So you can see in this particular slide. So non-destructive testings we have categorized. So we have discussed and earlier also majorly in the NDT method, the one of the first method is that visual inspection or visual optical method. So in the last lecture, and as I said that if you want to see and inspect what lies beneath, so nothing but which is inside the surface or underneath the surface, then you need to use one of these NDT methods which are listed here. So see, some of these will come under the category of the surface NDT methods, and some of these will fall under the category of bulk or volume NDT methods. So techniques like liquid penetrant, magnetic particle, and eddy current test will all under the surface methods. I think I have explained in earlier classes also on magnetic particles. So this magnetic particle and liquid penetrant, eddy current, all these three is under surface NDT methods. And like visual, ultrasonic testing, radiography testing, acoustic emission testings, all these are like X-ray also, all these are all under bulk category, bulk or volume methods. So these are all like certain techniques. But for example, if you consider ultrasonic, so if you consider this ultrasonic, so ultrasonic is the versatile method, so which can do both surface NDT as well as the bulk NDT. So both is possible by the ultrasonic. So what we are going to do in this particular course and the series of the lectures. So first we would like to take each of these NDT methods one at a time, and we'll try to learn the basic principles behind each and every technique. Then we will go on the learn about the method and how it will be method will done that, and how the process applied and what are the process parameters and so on. So and now I would like to pick one by one. Then we will discuss the more details. But today in our major lecture, so we are going to pick the first surface NDT method. So after the visual inspection, that one is the liquid penetration test. So today our major focusing about liquid penetrant test. So this is our unit 2. So today we will discuss about this. So this will be our first lectures. So after the visual inspection methods. Okay. So and before going to the topic, what exactly we will discuss, what is the learning objective of this particular chapter. So majorly unit 2 is liquid penetration test. So we will what is our learning objectives of this particular chapter. So here majorly I would like to introduce the liquid penetration test and what is the principles. Majorly one is the surface energy as well as capillary force, how these two properties or process parameters will help you to detect surface cracks. So you know the two principles. With the help of that two principles, you are applying on any kind of discontinuities. Then you are getting, you can easily detect those kind of discontinuities or flaws or defects. So, but you need principles. So how the principles will work. So that's we are trying to learn in particular today's session. So in further classes, we will talk about experimental procedures, how you are conducting the entire liquid penetration test method, and also we'll talk about the properties of penetrant as well as the developer, and also we will discuss about how you are selecting, because there is a different kind of availabilities are there. There is a lot of penetrants are available, and there is a different types of developers also there. But as per the need, you have to select a suitable penetrant and developers. All these will depends upon the property. That is also very important thing. And also, this is a very good method, one of the cheapest method and NDT methods after visual inspection. So, but still each and every testing method have its own limitations. So that limitations also we will discuss, and also we will discuss about the what are the advantages of this liquid penetration test. So later we will move on to that application point of view, at which locations you can use this uh, liquid penetration test or dye penetration test. Okay, so hope you clearly understand what exactly we will cover in this particular chapter. So first we are trying to introduce means what is the basic principles behind the entire testing method, and then we are going for entire the procedure of this NDT method and its properties and the selection process for the developers as well as the penetrants, then limitations, advantages and applications. So this is the total we'll try to cover with this. So see, before going to depth, then I would like to discuss some more things. The penetrating like test is not very old test, so they have some history also. So penetrant, the first they are used in 1900s to detect cracks in locomotive parts. Very old technique. This one is that. So that method they are called it is island light whiting. So it means with the help of a chalk piece, you can simply rub the chalk piece at where exactly the discontinuity is there. Later you are applying the oil. So then obviously you can simply get the white marks where exactly the discontinuities are there. So here the method usually use a dirty lubricating oil which was like thinned with the kerosene. So there add some kerosene also in that, followed by the application of chalk coat. So here the chalk is act as like a developer. So and this is the old technique. So later, what exactly they are doing that in 1940s, they are using some different kind of dyes, visible dyes. So initially they are using that lubricant oil is the dye, but after that they are using the fluorescents or some visible dyes were added to the oils. So then obviously what happens, the contrast will change that. So due to that contrast, you can easily identify the cracks. That is very important here in case of liquid penetration test. If who is the inspector is there, so if the inspector don't have some knowledge about that, which one is the crack and which one is not the crack, because whenever you are applying the developer, you are getting different kind of marks. So then you can easily identify that, means the inspector able to identify whether it is a crack or maybe another kind of things. So for that reason, if it is clearly visible, then inspect is very easy. So that is the reason why they are trying to change the different kind of dyes. So there is like a visible dyes, and also sometimes they are using some fluorescent dyes and all the things. This will give a better results. So then we will move on to some definitions about this liquid penetrations, then we will go somewhat deep. So here the liquid penetration test, how we are defined, it is like a physical and chemical non-destructive procedure. It's designed to detect and expose surface conduction discontinuities in non-porous engineering materials. You clearly understand whenever you define the liquid penetration test, it is for only detect if the cracks are exposed to surface. So otherwise, you can't use this liquid penetration test. Whatever the surface is there, that surface simply, whatever the crack is there, that crack would be like exposed to the surface conduction. Then only you can easily identify the crack or discontinuity, whatever it is a flaw, crack, discontinuity, whatever it is, it should be exposed to the surface. So it's simply open to the surface. So then only you can easily identify it. So I can clearly see that. So if it is your surface, if some crack is like this, so for example, if it is a thickness, if maybe crack is like this inside, so like this cracks are there. If it is a situation, you can't use this liquid penetration because you understand this is the depth, so your liquid won't enter into this crack. It is not possible. So how, at which situation you have to use this is the, if the crack is like this, it is simply open to the surface. It's simply open to the surface. So then only you can use the liquid penetration test. So here, what is the basic principle of this penetrant inspection? So that is when. So exactly, a lot of people are called in a different manner. So the liquid penetrant test, sometimes people also called it is a dye penetrant test, because a liquid dye is used. And in short times, they are also prefer to call it is simply like PT also. PT nothing but it is a penetrant test. So there is a one more name to it, like which is the liquid penetrant inspection. So you can see that there is a different names they call. Some of the people are called it is liquid penetrant testing or dye penetrating testing, or it is penetrant testing and liquid penetrant inspection. We called it is LPA. There is a different kind of names are there for the same test. So we called it is liquid penetrant testing. This is LPT. Otherwise, the people are called it is DPT. DPT nothing but it is a dye penetrating testing. Sometimes it is called only PT. PT nothing but penetrant testings. Otherwise, called it is LPI. LPI nothing but liquid penetrant inspection. There are different names. Usually they are using that. So whenever coming into the principle of this liquid penetration testing here, whenever you are applying a penetrant over the clean surface to be inspected, here there is a combined action takes place on the surface. One is that surface tension and the capillary action. So because of these two particular principles, what happens, whatever the liquid spread over the surface, that will be simply steep into the defect, which when developed by the blotting action of the developer, powder is clearly show up that on a white background. So that is the basic principle. Then we will discuss about somewhat clearly. Then you can clearly understand what exactly happens whenever a liquid spread over the surface, if surface have any kind of cracks, so your liquid simply steep into that particular crack due to this surface energy of the liquid and capillary action. So always the capillary action due to that particular surface tension of the liquid. So after completion of, once it is steeped into that, after certain period of time, if you are applying any kind of developer which is having a white background, so then whatever the liquid inside the crack, that will come outside. That will be simply visible on the white background as red color. So that is the basic principle of this liquid penetration test. So we will discuss later one very clearly procedure. So see, so liquid penetration test is majorly used on non-magnetic materials, because for magnetic materials we have another kind of testing method is there, that is the magnetic particle testing. So the limitation is that in the magnetic particle testing, that is only suitable for which material having magnetic properties. So that is the reason why you are using liquid penetration testing for non-magnetic materials. So you can use the magnetic materials also, nothing will happen. So you can use for both materials. So here you can use for metals as well as the glass or ceramic, rubber, plastic, any kind of materials. There is no limitation in the materials. You can go for any kind of materials. So here, so liquid penetrant inspection is used to inspect flaws that break the surface of the sample. That is the very important. So here, what kind of flaws may be there in that? It is maybe fatigue cracks or quench cracks or grinding cracks, maybe impact fractures. You know, no need of fractures. Fracture you can easily visualized. You can go for porosity, and also there is a pinholes in the welds, lack of fusion. So these are all different kind of defects arise due to different kind of manufacturing processes. You are getting different kind of flaws or different kind of defects in case of castings or weldings, as well as the farmings. So within the three manufacturing methods, you can arise different kind of defects. So in the defects, some of the inside the component and some are open to the surface. But some of the like defects are very narrow in size. You can't visualize those cracks with the help of eye. And also in that particular regions, we are going for this kind of liquid penetration test. Okay. So I think I have already covered this development of penetrant practices, and initially we have only oil and all the things with the help of bore, chalk piece. So we are simply test the components. Later, they are using that colored dyes around in 1930s. So after that, they are using that fluorescent dyes. So obviously, you know that technology will vary, depends upon the situations, because if cracks are very narrow in size, it is very difficult to identify this particular color dye. Then obviously we have to change the different kind of dyes. So like that, there is enhancement in this contrast of the dyes and all the things. And finally, they are using that fluorescent dyes. So this will give very good, very clear indications of any flaws or defects. But if you want to, if you are using that fluorescent dyes, then definitely you have to use the black light. So within the black light only you can visualize these fluorescent dye cracks. Okay, so this is the major history as well as the principle and development, development of these all penetrant and practice. So see what are the steps majorly involved in these liquid penetration test. First, we are going for clean the surface, and surface preparation is very important. I will explain that why the surface preparation is very important. What will happen if you not properly clean the surface, and how it will be affect your results. So that's I will explain that, and also then later we have to apply the penetrant. Nothing but it is a dye penetrant, colored penetrant. It is a, with the different methods. You can go for brushing method, or you can go for with spraying method or immersing method. So like that, anyway you can apply your penetrant. So after apply the penetrant, you have to wait some time. That is called as a dwell time. Why you are providing dwell time? So if you provide some certain period of time, then only whatever the penetrant is there, that will steep into our into your crack, steep into the crack. So then after that, which is the excess penetrant is there, you have to remove all that. So there is a different methodology also we are using for removing excess penetrants. Always it is a depend upon the penetrant, what type of penetrant you are using. That according to that you have to use the some removal methods, some water washable methods, like different kind of methods are available. So that always depends upon the type of penetrant. So once you remove the excess penetrant, then you have to apply the developer. So developer majorly white color we are using that. It's white color developer. So once apply the developer, so then you have to inspect and evaluation. So once it is also completed all the evaluation and inspections, then move on to the surface clean. So remove again entire penetrants, developer, each and everything you have to go for treat. So these are all around 7 steps are involved in that basic process of liquid penetrant inspections. But for each and every inspection, each and every step, there is a lot of parameters will affecting on that. So that's we will clearly discuss in further classes. But in today our major session is that what is the basic principles behind these liquid penetration test. So that's we will discuss today. Okay, so then if you have any liquid, so you have a liquid and you need to inspect a component. So component nothing but it is a solid surface. So you apply this liquid, so the liquid is available, so you apply that liquid on the solid surface and then allow it to spread over. And then if you have any defects or flaws, you can inspect it depend upon the what this liquid does. So that you can clearly understand that once the liquid spread over the surface, then we are simply identifying the defects. But how you are identifying defects, that is majorly depends upon what exactly there is the liquid will interacts with the solid surface. So you can clearly see on the screen here there is a liquid droplet as well as the solid surface. So then, so once again we will discuss. So here, so that means you need to talk about the solid liquid interaction. It is a very important. We will always talk about the liquid and solid. These two interactions are very important because we are simply spread out the liquid on the solid. So what happens in between these two? So what kind of uh, principle behind this inspection? Okay. So here, let us say if we have a solid surface, so like that you consider a solid surface like this. So this is your solid surface. So solid surface, and I would like to put a liquid over this. So there is a liquid over this particular surface. So now what happens here depend upon the interactions or the surface energies. So that you please remember that depend upon the interaction nothing but depend upon the surface energies. Two things happens. So what are the two things? The first thing is that the liquid spread over the surface. That is a common thing. So that is our first thing. Simply our liquid liquid simply spread over the surface. It is very difficult to write with the mouse, so please try to understand that. So there are two cases. One is that simply liquid spread out on the surface. So simply liquid spread. So then what is the another case? So that is the case one. Once there is a droplet, water droplet on the surface, the first thing, the liquid may be spread over, and another one is that liquid will not spread. That is the only two cases. Either it is will be spread or it won't spread. So liquid may spread or it won't spread. If the liquid spread, that is called as wet the solid surface. Once the liquid spread the entire surface, nothing but it simply wet the liquid. So otherwise, if liquid not spread the entire surface or not spread the surface, then we will call it is that no wetting. So means there are two things. One is the wetting and second one is that non-wetting. So you clearly understand that there is another terminology coming into the picture that is called as wetting. So how you call it is a wetting. So once a liquid droplet fall on the surface, if a liquid spread over the surface, that is called as wetting. And another one is that if liquid does not spread over the surface, then it is called as no wetting. But here you can clearly understand that either wetting or no wetting, whether the liquid will wet the solid surface or not, that would depends upon one particular process parameter. So how can you say that yes, this will be spread over the surface and another one is not spread over the surface? So that you have to deciding factor. You require one deciding factor, or otherwise called it is one process parameter. So always that process parameter will decide that whether the surface is wetting. Otherwise, if that particular liquid have a good wettability and all the things. So that process parameter is called as contact angle. This is the contact angle. So contact angle majorly we will represent as theta. So this particular contact angle is the process parameter. It will help to take a decision whether the liquid have good wettability and the like the interactions are otherwise liquid and solid have a good wettability and all the things. That will decide by this only process parameter, that is contact angle. So then, so let us we call it is a theta. So let us say that if the solid surface and over this entire droplet, so whatever the droplet is there, it simply spread over that. So full wetting takes place here. So whether wetting will happen or not, that will depends upon the surface energies, which will finally come back to the contact angles. So always the because of the surface energies only you are getting these contact angles and all the things. So this is the surface energy. So here you can see that there are different kind of surface energies will happen. Then we will see here you can see that this is the one surface energy, and this is the another surface energy, and this is the another surface energy. Is it visible? Okay. So see, this is then one surface energy. So here the surface energy, this is the interaction between the liquid and vapor. So that's why the surface energy gamma, you are called it is gamma LV. So gamma LV. And also there is another one. This is the interaction between the solid and vapor. This is the surface energy. So where there is a surface, then obviously you are getting this kind of surface energy. So see, this is the gamma SV. S nothing but solid, V nothing but vapor. So again there is interaction between solid liquid. So solid liquid. So the angle between these two called it is contact angle. So this is the contact angle. So this is the deciding factor of whether it is good wettability or not. So you can clearly understand that if whatever the liquid you are simply spread out the surface, if you don't have a good wettability, then obviously you never get this kind of capillary action and all the things, because once the liquid simply spread over that, so then only you can use those kind of liquids in your applications. So here this one is the deciding factor. Contact angle is the theta. So here you can see very clearly what are the surface energies. One is that gamma LV, liquid and vapor interactions, and this is the solid and vapor interactions, and this is the solid and liquid interaction. So once you can simply go for balancing the forces. So here majorly gamma SV is being balanced by these gamma SL as well as the gamma LV. So here I would like to see here, then you can simply see for better understanding. You consider like this. Okay. So what is that? You know, this is the gamma liquid and vapor. So here it is a gamma solid and liquid, and this is again a gamma solid and vapor. So you clearly this gamma solid and vapor will balance these two. So you can simply apply the balance equation here. What is that? Our gamma SV is equal to gamma SL plus gamma LV, and this is the theta. So this is the theta, then it is cos theta. This is cos theta. I am balancing only horizontal forces. Okay, so this gamma LV can consider gamma LV cos theta as well as the sin theta. So but whenever you are balancing the forces, only horizontal forces, that is the equation. So gamma SV is equal to gamma SL plus gamma LV cos theta. So if you know, this is the very well known equation. That equation is called as Young's equation or Young's model. So also some people it is also called as Young-Dupre equation, Young-Dupre equation. So which talk about the contact angle between a solid surface and a liquid. So here you can easily measure the cos theta value. So see here gamma SV minus gamma SL divided by gamma LV is equal to cos theta. Is equal to cos theta. So you can clearly see that you are simply deriving your theta value. So now theta is equal to cos inverse of gamma SV minus gamma SL divided by gamma LV. So like that you can easily measure the theta value. But once you get a theta, so but how can you say that yes, this is a good wetting and this is not, this is no wetting and all the things. So the theta is the factor. So the range of the theta is the very important here. So what is that range of theta? So now depending upon whether the theta is less than 90 or it is greater than 90. So the two things here, one is that theta is less than 90 and another one is that theta greater than 90. These are the two cases. These are the two cases. One is that theta less than 90 and the second one is theta greater than 90. The liquid will entire spread over or not. This will decide about these theta values. So if theta is less than 90, so if the case is theta is less than 90, nothing but our first case, so then the liquid will wet the solid surface. So means if you have like this, then that is wet. You can simply say it is wet. So and then another case is that if the theta is greater than 90, then the liquid will not spread or will not wet the solid surface. So means you never get, means it is no wet. So there is no wetting if the contact angle. So if the contact angle is greater than 90 degrees, then there is no wetting. So obviously you can clearly understand that you never get a proper results. So that is the one of the deciding factor. So I think you people clearly understand about this principle is the one of the Young-Dupré equation will help to identify the contact angle. So this contact angle is will gives the whether the liquid spread out the surface or it won't spread out the surface, so wetting or non-wetting. So with the help you can easily see that your liquid will steep into the crack or not. So see, if you are using that any another kind of here majorly a very important thing I forgot to say about here. So this particular parameter theta or contact angle which decide whether it will spread or the liquid surface or not. So as well as also so it will so majorly help that what kind of liquid you have to select, because there is a lot of companies manufacturing different kind of penetrants. Before going to this inspection, you have to test its contact angle. So with that particular surfaces. Okay. So as I said, you see there is a liquid dye, which is generally if you are using that color dye. So most of time you are using that red color is our dye. So you use then if you take it as a liquid dye and then if you spread it on any kind of surface, if you apply on that particular solid surface, so for this particular dye simply spread over that solid surface of the component so that you are examining. So the contact angle between the surface of the component being examined and the liquid dye should be less than 90 degrees. That should fix it, that then only you are getting a good results. And for that to happen, the solid surface should be clean. So that is why the first step in the particular method we have discussed in the earlier, that is the surface cleaning. So clearly you understand that why the people are going for surface cleaning before going to the apply the penetrants, because if if you not proper surface cleaning, then obviously on the surface you have any kind of grease or another kind of things and any dirt particles or grease and anything. So because of these grease and dirt particles will increase in the contact angle. So once the contact angle is increases, then what happens? If theta is greater than 90, there is no wetting. So wetting won't take place. So if there is no wet and your liquid won't spread over the surface. If there is no spread over the surface, it won't reach the crack and it won't steep into the crack. So that is the very important thing. That is the reason why the people are going for surface cleaning before applying a penetrant. So I hope you clearly understand this particular thing. So and also there is another important thing is there that is called as a capillary force. So you can see this. So here you can see the condition here. So if the condition contact angle is less than 90, so that is called as hydrophilic. So obviously it will good surface energies. Our water droplets simply spread over that. So here the contact angle is around greater than 90 degrees. That is the hydrophobic. So hydrophobic is a good example is that if you spread out liquid droplet on lotus leaf, so that is the hydrophobic. So there is no contact. There is it was droplet won't spread over the leaf. So means because of the contact angles. So there is a less surface energy also. So obviously what happens, the droplets beats up. It won't simply stick onto the surface. So like that, if theta is greater than 150 degrees, that is the super hydrophobic and all the thing. So means sometimes it won't, means it will simply repel it from the surface. So these are the conditions of these contact angles. It is a very important. This is the basic principle behind this entire liquid penetration test. And also we have there is a small video. Okay, later I will show this particular video. So it's not playing here right now. But you can see here, this is the droplet and this is the droplet here. So you can check the contact angles here. So depends upon the contact angles only. So this is the measurement, how you are measuring the contact angles. So later we will discuss. I will show you this video. So see, and another one is that capillary action. So this will also very helpful in that. So if you take any kind of solid surface, if the solid surface whether any defects or maybe flaws, obviously once the liquid spread over it on the surfaces, so that will simply like steep into that particular discontinuity. So because of this surface energy involved in that, that is a very clearly learned in the previous slide. So due to this particular surface energy, if you have any kind of discontinuities, that will simply spread over. So here you can see that, for example, so this is our so this is a solid surface and we have a crack like this. So if you consider this one is a crack, and if you spread over any like liquid like this, then obviously what happens, so because of this particular surface energies, the liquid will simply drawn into this discontinuity or flaw. So this is known as the capillary action or capillary force. So because of this particular capillary force, so you can simply steep into the crack. So always this capillary action will develop due to the surface tension of the liquid. If you have a good surface tension, then only you can simply fall drawn into the discontinuities. So that means if you spread a liquid on a solid surface, and if that surface has some kind of small openings or a fissure, then a capillary force will develop because of the surface tension of the liquid, and that capillary force will draw the liquid inside that discontinuity or that opening. So here the another term will come, that is the capillary force or capillary action. So that will happens due to the surface tension of the liquid. So then you can understand that there is a capillary force due to the surface energy. So that is commonly we'll call it is gamma LV. This is the surface energy. So our capillary force, you can call it, is due to this particular surface tension for a crack. So you understand that, and let us say that particular solid surface and have one opening here or a discontinuity, whatever you call. So that discontinuity to have a size, it is very important. Size is here, the size is also one kind of process parameter. So if the discontinuity having the diameter is 2r and the radius is the r. So this is the 2r. So 2r is the diameter of that particular crack. Okay, crack dia we call it is. So this capillary force due to the surface tension would like so this is the capillary force. We can calculate the capillary force. Capillary force, you can calculate like it is 2 pi r into gamma LV. So this is the capillary force. So this is the called it is capillary force where we call it gamma LV is the surface tension of the liquid. So here there are two cases will be there how you are applying the liquid either from the top or either from the bottom. So see here, if it is from the top and you are getting like this, and this is the contact angle, this is the theta, and this is the contact angle. So otherwise and there is another case like that. If you would like to measure, you can simply immerse into the die. So this is the another kind of case you can see here. So if you are, this is the die, and if you simply immerse the entire the surface inside component or inside the liquid die, then this will be the contact angle. So here you can see that. So liquid simply due to the capillary force, liquid simply rises inside the narrow crack, and you are getting like this. You can simply measure the, so this is the contact angle. So this is the theta. So here you have inside the crack is a liquid head. So that means the weight of the liquid is being supported by the capillary force. That is the simple thing. You simply balance the forces. So here one is the capillary force, and that will be balanced by this weight of the liquid. So then you can simply go for the equation. What is that? That is 2 pi r gamma LV is equal to pi r square h, and the liquid density is rho and gravitation is the g. So then you can simply see this is the cos theta will comes that here it is because this is the one, this is the theta, and this is the capillary force 2 pi r gamma L, and in this direction you are getting 2 pi r L cos theta. So this is the 2 pi r L gamma cos theta. So then you can calculate the h value, and this is your h value. So means height. So you can clearly understand by this particular equation. So R is the your crack size, and rho is the density of the die or density of the liquid, and g is the acceleration due to gravity. So here whatever the the rise, density rise or depth of this particular liquid, that is always proportional to the surface energy, and also it is irreversible, like inversely proportional to the crack size. So you clearly understand that when the crack size is small, then depth is high. So more depth you can easily rises. So once the R is more, so you can see that if it is a bigger R, so if the crack size is more, so it won't means rises with more height. So this height will deciding factor. It is always depends upon the crack size. Okay. So then I hope you understand this principles. So we are majorly focused on two principles. One is that uh, one we have discussed about that in earlier case, that is the contact angle. So how the contact angle will help you to detect any kind of flaws, or and another thing, how the capillary action will help. So because of these two principles, we are applying the liquid penetration test. So I would like to go for small poll test. So please respond in that. Meanwhile, if you have any doubt, you can simply type your question in the chat box. Otherwise, you can ask me.
Yes.
Hello?
So please respond.
Hello, sir.
So here the question is like that: is there any limitation with regard to the depth of the crack, or the crack can be high depth? So here our intention is that if a crack is more, so if crack is more means if the crack size is very big size, then definitely the inspection time will be more. So means you have to apply more amount of liquid. So you know why? Because depends upon that particular liquid value, then you can easily predict that what is the size of the crack. Because here we are not using any kind of measuring device to measure the crack length and what is the depth of the crack, but only that how much volume it is occupies. So that you can easily identify by that how much place it is occupying on the surface. So according to that, we can simply predict that what is the size of the crack. So, but here the deciding factor is that if crack size is more, big crack size, obviously there is a limitation in that it won't occupies the entire crack, because the capillary force always the H is inversely proportional to the R. If R is big, then obviously not entire liquid won't enter into the crack. So that is one of the limitation in the LPT. So that is a very nice question. Hope you understand that. Still, if you have any doubt, then you can
Sir, hello, sir.
post in the chat box.
Hello, sir.
So
Hello,
those
sir.
who are submitted, you can leave the class. Thank you for your kind attention.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Ajay, do you have any doubt? You raise the hand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, in capillary reaction, we consider the surface tension as a gamma LV, but here contact was in liquid.